Hello, dear friends. Here we are at Kardec Radio, another day of hope and light. We are here studying this beautiful book, Hope and Light, by the Spirit Emmanuel through Chico Xavier. And in this book, we find several spirit authors who, through the hands of Chico Xavier, brought to us teachings that are unprecedented. This book was published in 1993. And it's short, but again, it brings messages from on high. Some people read these messages and they find, oh yeah, I knew of it. It's repetitive. It's not. Who are the spirit authors? Emmanuel is one of them. Emmanuel is the coordinator of the project, and Emmanuel works hand in hand with the governance of the earth. So for us, it is vital to understand that these teachings are not repeating things. They are unveiling new aspects that were not revealed before. And today, in this new chapter, it's about the Sentinels of the sanctuary lamp. What is it about? In the first part of the book, the preface, hope as this divine stimulus that gives the signal of our progress. And we have been working on this, telling ourselves daily, 25 days to Christmas, celebrating the coming of the Christ to the earth, and at the same time, we are celebrating the fact that we are destined to progress. Of course, we are far from getting to many places we've been dreaming of, but just the fact that you and I are dreaming of new things, it's a sign that we are progressing. Because there are many people, or even ourselves, in the past, we didn't dream of these things, right? Now we do. Now we dream. We dream of being a good person. What are your dreams? We dream of being useful. We dream of being loving and lovable, kind, caring, compassionate. Are these your dreams? Because when we dream these dreams, they are the dreams that synchronize with the new world that is being built. For those who want to know why we're so hopeful, this book, The Gospel According to Spiritism, in chapter 3, let me open it. Chapter 3 is about, there are many dwellings in my Father's house, Jesus said that, but mostly we want to say it's about the different types of planets, progression of the planets, and our planet. Items 13 to 18. St. Augustine talks about the characteristics of our planet as trials and atonements or expiations. So, of course, we are here to progress. We're being tested because it's a school. And we're redressing things we failed in the past. We repeated. Now in this life, we're beginning anew. And we're marching forward to a world of regeneration where the good shall prevail, where we are aiming at being good most of the time. Meaning we're going to conquer our inner ignorance and expand our experience. The universe is expanding, and so shall we. Not physically. We're talking about expansion of consciousness and feeling ourselves in this expansion. Shall we? But today the message is so surprising that when I read it again and again and again, Mentor Joseph said, those who feel this scripture today will not fall asleep again in consciousness. Are you ready? Welcome, friends, to Kardec Radio. So, Sentinels of the Sanctuary Lamp. The storm looms on the political and social horizons of the world. All voices speak of an imminent danger, and all hearts feel something strange in the air they breathe. They talk about the collective, in which each gathering is in fierce exclusivism, and they speak of nationalism and homeland with the same concept of selfishness and isolation. These extremes characterize a period of profound decay in the social and political customs of this age of transitions. However, despite its complexity, this phenomenon can be defined as the widespread human anguish on the eve of abandonment, of abandoning its citizen chrysalis. All the events that shake the planet, spreading in their remotest corners a revolutionary and regenerating wave, mean the intense and difficult work of the laborious gestation of the new body of laws by which the earthly organizations will later be governed. Dictators and extremists are transitory expressions of this phase of painful experiences, because the truth is that the citizen of the country will be replaced by the fraternal individual, sibling of their fellow beings and focused on their duties of love. Certainly, lots of pains happen in this transformation of today's patriotic formulas, but the advanced democracies keep in their structure the seeds of this bright future. However, if we talk about this, it is to tell our spiritualist friends that they are the sentinels of the sanctuary lamp, in the manner of the ancient heroes who guarded the first fruits of the sacred fire. Okay, sorry, friends. Where is it? Oh, sorry. The page just escaped me. In the hour of darkness, when subversion threatens the planet, it is up to them to provide the testimony of their faith as a security pledge for future generations. The task of Spiritism is therefore to blossom the task of Spiritism is therefore tailored to the blossoming of the inner human within a new concept of fraternity. Out of these principles, the activities of each one will be like flying leaves within their dispersive character, because all our effort is framed in loving one another. And it is this formula that should represent the compass of the activities of sincere spiritualists, who with their blessed sacrifices will be the social engineers of the times to come. We breathe in and we're surprised. Emmanuel is talking about social context, political context, inner context, and this was written in 1993. And it seems like it was just written for today, right? When we talk about a planetary transition, it's not a transition that happens in a few decades. We're talking about centuries, millennia. Don't be disappointed, because we are the dawn of this world of regeneration. We're closer to it than we've ever been on Earth. But this message, though written in 1993, it's so fitting for the current times because it explains to us where we are now and the plan of the governance of our planet ahead of us. And why is this important? Because once we know what we're heading to, we can align ourselves. And once we align, we no longer waste time and energy and reincarnations. Reincarnations. First thing he says here is about extremes. Extremes are a thing of the world we're leaving behind. Let's bring emotional and spiritual extremes as well. It's not only about the political extremism, social discrepancies, it is about the inner. Benjamin Franklin, one of the spirits of the Spiritist codification. Yes, go to the Spirit's book. In the Prolegomena, which is the beginning of the book, there is the signature of a few of the many spirits that were responsible for that information, that instruction in the Spirit's book. Amongst them, Benjamin Franklin. Ben Franklin, before being part of the group of spirits that brought Spiritism, when he was incarnated in the United States of America, at 20 years of age, say he realized, 20 years old, that's how old he was. He signed the Declaration of Independence, right? He wasn't 20 years old back then. But before he did that, he realized he needed to improve himself. He wrote a list of 13 virtues to acquire. Read his biography and you get to know. This is not trivial. Some people laugh at it and they think, oh, Ben Franklin, he tried it. But it's not trivial. His effort came from a mind that was already ahead. No longer he belonged to the pioneers of a new era on earth by the solidification of the United States of America as a nation. The plans of the Christ to form this nation belongs to all of us, no matter where we're born on this planet, in this planet. Amongst the virtues he writes and he needs to acquire as his own personal proposition, he proposes something to all of us as well. Temperance, moderation. We come from many lives when we were super happy or deeply sad, excited or depressed. Now, as we enter this new era of our planet, we need to modulate these extremes and learn to temper our emotions. Emmanuel is saying this. This extremism that has isolation and selfishness in it characterizes a period of decay, profound decay, in the social and political customs of this transition. So when we see in the political scenario, in the social scenario, these extremes, excessive patriotic feelings, excessive exclusivism, nationalism. This is Emmanuel, 1993, in Brazil. But it pertains to the world. He didn't say it's restricted to Brazil alone. But he says, these are signs of an era that is about to shift. Because we no longer comfortably accommodate these feelings. And the same for our homes, for our spiritist organizations. We need to modulate extremes. We need to learn to compromise. We need to learn to be non-violent. It's very important to be non-violent. Non-violent. We're learning it because we tend to feel desperate when we don't see things going according to our expectation. And then we use the spirit of force to enforce it. That's violence. When we go to the Spirit's book, law of love, charity, and justice. Justice, love, and charity. The first questions, Kardec asks, how the spirits define justice? And they say, to be just is to respect people's rights and way of being. That doesn't belong to parents, because parents, when our children are little, we respect, but we are educators. We need to help them. We cannot say, oh, that's how my child is. What can I do? No. If that's not healthy, we need to help. But we're talking about allowing people to develop and to do the things that they find proper. Usually we're not like that, because when we don't accept, we either rule them out or we try to impose ourselves, which is violence. It's aggressive. Violence is not physical. There is vibratory violence. André Louis' books talk about fluidic infections in the book Liberation, which is true violence. When we go through these mental battles, send mental darts, or when we cultivate sexual imbalances and create mental bacteria that will generate fluidic infections with whomever we may be in our daily lives. So when people say, I watch porn, that's my problem. No. It's the problem of everyone who is with you, because you're cultivating a field, a mental field that is very degrading, filled with mental bacteria, as André Louis says. And that's going to create imbalances in the mental fields of people whom you live with. The same for hatred. We need to assess hatred inside of us and eliminate, because it can also feed mental bacteria, predisposing ourselves to fluidic infections from obsessors and contaminating people who are in our relationships as well. In the book Memoirs of a Suicide, Camilo, through the medium Yvonne, shares with us that when we share addictions, when we cultivate addictions, we create a mental field, we make associations that are so dangerous that it may be even lethal to children, that type of vibration that we are cultivating. Lethal in many ways, not only physically. we're talking about perispiritual lesions as well. And we are responsible for it. So there's nothing we do that is restricted to ourselves alone. People who work on public health, they are seeing every day the expansion of the concept of what really pertains to the public. In Spiritism, we learn that our decisions are a matter of universal health. What I decide to do with my life daily becomes either a contribution to the health of the planet or pollution to the planet. People are talking about climate change, the climate crisis, but in Spiritism we talk about the main climate crisis, the mental one. And we can no longer afford saying, I think what I want, I feel what I want, I say what I want, I do what I want. No. At the end of the day, whatever I choose has an impact on everybody. So much so that Emmanuel says the following. We are talking about this, and he's talking about extremism in our daily lives, because we, the spiritualists, and he doesn't restrict to Spiritism alone, we, the ones who cultivate any form of spirituality, are the sentinels of the sanctuary lamp, like heroes guarding the first fruits of the sacred fire. What does he mean? So let's understand the word sentinels, right? What is a sentinel? It's a soldier or a guard whose job is to stand and keep watch. So he's inviting, Emmanuel today is inviting you and I first to deal with our emotional extremes. Manage it. Prayer is wonderful for it. Cultivating calmness and resignation, as chapter 5 says in the book Gospel According to Spiritism. And he's also inviting us to be the guards, the sentinels of this beautiful message that was brought to the earth. You and I, right now, we're a minority on earth. But if we don't keep the lamp lit, how are we going to help the next generation to carry the torch to the next, to the next, to the next? The sentinel needs to guard it, to keep a watch, to keep watch. And what is this sanctuary lamp? So historically, I got a little bit of the history here. Why does he mention the sanctuary lamp? In the Jewish tradition, this sanctuary lamp is a light that shines before the altar of sanctuaries in many Jewish places of worship. In the Catholic tradition, the sanctuary lamp, right, is a sign that the Lord is present, and it's kept lit throughout the day. It's a sign that the Lord is present. So Emmanuel is inviting you and I, all of us, to keep watch of this flame. He says more. He says here at the end of the message, in the hour of darkness, when subversion threatens the planet, it is up to the sentinels of the sanctuary lamp to provide the testimony of their faith as security pledge for future generations. And you may ask, how do I do it? So in the last two paragraphs, he replies to this question that is invisible. He says, the task of Spiritism is tailored to the blossoming of inner human within a new concept of fraternity. How fraternal have you been? What is to be fraternal? Remember yesterday when we were talking about being a friend? In Jesus' concept, friendship is about caring for the progress of one another. Caring means respecting, supporting, facilitating, but not enforcing. So if I am sharing my life under these concepts and guarding this light, I do it as Jesus did. We are asked to do the same. We don't need to call 10,000 people and share with them. We share with the ones that come along. How? By practicing it, as St. Francis said. And if needed, I use words. So let us assess, how fraternal have we been? Scale 0 to 10. Have we been fraternal? And he says in the last paragraph, out of these principles, the activity of each one will be flying leaves. Flying leaves, they go away. They don't amount to anything. Because all our effort is framed in loving one another. And it is this formula that should represent the compass of the activities of sincere spiritualists. With their blessed sacrifices, they will be the social engineers of the times to come. Do you want a new profession? Social engineer. What is this? You're building a new society with the governance of the earth. How? By bringing peace and calmness, joy, and good works. But if I am the one who is creating dissension, discord, always putting a sour word here and there, as if I didn't mean anything, but then we're not social engineers. We're actually troublemakers. We no longer want to be troublemakers. We want to be builders, like Bob the Builder. We want to be builders. We want to be builders by being fraternal, by supporting people's progress, beginning with their space that we shall not invade. Again, in the book Memoirs of a Suicide, the case of this man who committed suicide, he was rescued in the spiritual realm. He's taken to the Institute Mary of Nazareth that takes care of suicidals. At some point, he becomes an apprentice, takes courses before he reincarnates. When in one of the courses, he needs to revisit his life together with the mentors and friends. When he revisits why he committed suicide, he's indignant. He says, of course I committed suicide. I had no way out. I was poor and I had cancer. There was no way out. Life's not fair. The mentor then brings a screen and says, let's revisit other lives. And he sees another life. When he was a slave owner, he starts watching what he's done to many families, separating families. He watches on the screen the atrocities and starts crying. He sees the misery he spread out, the slanders, the problems he created. But at some point in that life, after he discarnated, he's received by one of his slaves who was more evolved. And people are puzzled. Who is this slave? This slave. Now, the surprising element. That slave who likes his owner in spite of it all was his life, his father in ancient Rome. His father in ancient Rome who asked to reincarnate as a slave to expiate for the many he enslaved and made suffer in ancient Rome. Wow. Unbelievable. I'm just cutting short the story. But why is this important for us today? Because we're talking about fraternity. We're talking about lighting up this feeling of fraternity inside of us. So let us, in the next 24 hours, meditate on fraternity, research on fraternity, seek fraternity and fraternal output from ourselves toward our other people, and see how we can boost it up. Because Emmanuel says, it is only in that mode of fraternity that we're going to become the social engineers of the new time. It's not going to happen without our contribution. The new planet is not built until we partake in this new mode. Shall we, friends? Joy to the world. The Lord is coming. We can feel it. The light is up, right? You want to be a sentinel of the sanctuary lamp? How beautiful. You're invited. Emmanuel is inviting you and I. Do you want to accept it? Do you want to accept the invitation? Shall we? Weber Costa is saying, keep up the good work. Thank you, Weber. Thank you for being with us. So friends, joy to the world. The Lord is come, and we're here guarding it inside of our hearts. Let us boost this fraternity and keep counting, because Christmas is around the corner. I can hear, yes, the jingle bells, because the Lord is born and reborn yet again in our hearts. Thank you, friends. Until tomorrow, God willing, here at Kardec Radio, hope and light. Thank you.